Salutations, Imperial citizens and battle brothers. It's Brother Tobias, and here we have a little mini report, a little slop report, as I like to call them, whenever I just talk into the mic live with the 3D model. No script because I'm working on something bigger, but I still want to upload. So, what do we do? Um, I just returned yesterday from a little Teams tournament. So, what is a Teams tournament, you ask? Well, it is whenever a team of multiple players play against each other in separate games, and then you add up all of the scores each teammate scored, and whichever team won better and by more points wins the round. And that's basically how it works. So yeah, Teams events are picking up in Steam. I'm trying to promote Teams events a bit over where I live. And so I decided to organize it myself. So here we go. That's my name on it. And it was the mini Teams tournament. So we played a Teams tournament with four. Usually you play teams with teams of five, or you play with teams of eight if it's like a really big event. But for the purposes of organizing the whole thing, we had to settle for teams of four, and we figured out a way to do it without breaking the pairing process. It's a bit convoluted, and doesn't really matter for the report at hand. What does matter, however, is our team. So here we go. We have four players in our team. We are the Canisbelly Zwergspitze, which are the Pomeranians. So yeah, our club is the Canisbelly, and because we have too many members in our club to fill just one team, we were spread out across multiple teams. We tried to distribute all of the members fairly in some sort of like free-form draft, and we decided to go with breeds of dogs for our team names, which only I actually stuck with, but that's how it came to be. So I picked the Pomeranian as the mascot. So how did it go? First, let's take a look at some lists here. Let's start off with what you're probably here for. We start off with my list, which isn't really my list because I decided to be really boring. I brought the Adepticon winning list from Conan, which is a Gladius task force with Rabute Gilliman, Marnius Calgar, a Captain in Gravis armor with the Artificer armor to make him really tanky, is a lieutenant with combi weapon, company heroes, an infiltrator squad, a scout squad, one ATV, and then six vehicles. We have triple Ballistus Dreadnought, one Gladiator Reaper, and two Vindicators. So this list is pretty good against pretty much anything in the game. It can handle lots of infantry models with the Blast and the Reapers. It can handle MSU because all of your vehicles are 2-up safe and really tough. And you have the Marnius Calgar Gilliman package to have a lot of command points you can use to draw better cards or to attack with a really good melee profile counterpunch. Your scoring is a bit light in this list, and which is why I don't play lists like this very often, but we also thought that this list could in a pinch work as a list capable of shooting really hard on an empty table, which is something I am definitely interested in. So that's my list. That's what I played. So what about the rest? We have our friends on GSC, a Gene Stealer list. We were the only team at the entire event, so we had a total of 20 teams, I believe. No, we had 10 teams of for each, so 40 people. And we were the only team that decided to bring a horde. And I think that was a great idea because a lot of people were not ready for having to face this list because we went with I suggested please play Host of Ascension and just bring a bunch of characters with buffs and just put them into as many 20 model units of neophyte hybrids as we can. One, two, three, four, five. Five 20 model breaks and a bunch of little hand flamer dudes. So this is just a different kind of stat check. Here we have some pure strains for infiltrate, triple rich runners with the mortars to buff the shooting. And then we have just a bunch of neophyte hybrid blobs. So yeah, the idea is if our opponents don't have a blast weapon and we manage to pair our Gene Stealers into those matchups, we just get an easy win. There's basically nothing that can prevent this from scoring if it can't be killed, which is very good for us. So next, we have one friend who decided at pretty much the last minute to switch from orcs to knights. And it was a bit of a headache because we couldn't take any agents because we needed agents for the last list. So we made do, and based on the models available and some late stage kit bashing, we switched it to Canis Rex, a Knight Atropos with the enhancement that gives sticky objectives. And then we have 4 Helverins and 4 Warglaives. So 8 small knights and 2 big knights. It was a pretty good balance. I think that the list works as a stat check because it is all vehicles. It works on an open table because this list shoots incredibly hard, with the 2 big knights shooting flat 4 damage at high AP, and they can walk through walls. And then we have the Helverins with damage free, getting buffed by the stratagems, and the Helverins with their multi melters. The Warglaives, excuse me, with their melter guns with melter 4. Yeah, just a really scary list to play against if you're not tooled to play against it. And last but not least, my little friend here. He plays Custodes, my tried and true best friend, the training partner. We played Custodes, and I suggested to switch the list he initially proposed for a Talents of the Emperor set that was meant to be a drop into melee armies specifically. We wanted one list in our roster that can beat melee armies, so we decided to go with Talents of the Emperor for the reactive move and the stratagem, the enhancement that makes you harder to hit in melee. So we have a Blade Champion with the Radiant Mantle, which gives everything in 12 inches -1 to hit. We have Valerian, who gives his unit a AP -1, so Armor of Contempt in combat. 2 units of Guard, 4 spears, 1 shield, just to help out with the wound allocation if there's damage free going around. 2 Caladius tanks because they're just amazing. And 2 bricks of wardens with a banner and spears. A bunch of prosecutors, triple witch seekers for scoring. And then we have Curia Draxus for the guard and an Inquisitor for the guard, which both of these basically do the same thing. The Inquisitor is slightly worse at it, but has other benefits. The Custodian Guard gives the Inquisitors a way to double shoot and have reroll wounds, which can trigger their death wound melee weapons. So yeah, so we have a list that has 2 Warden bricks, which are incredibly difficult to charge because they can pop the 4-up Feel No Pain, and the list still does something. So why didn't we go triple Warden? The answer is pretty easy. We didn't have the models to go triple Warden, so we went with double Guard instead. I don't think he was very happy about having to play this, but it worked out for us pretty well. So yeah, that's our team. So let's talk a little bit about how we did. So what happened? We won the whole thing. So yeah, by a smidge of 4 points, we beat the entire competition. We played 2 rounds. of games, which is uncommon globally, but very common for our club. We always make these 2 round mini events, and again, it was a little test drive to see if our club and the location could handle the organization and preparation for a teams event. And the answer is yes. So maybe next year we will be doing a proper 5-man 3 round teams event, and it will be pretty good. But for now, yeah, we won. Our team beat the competition, and we beat team first TC Waldsam, and we beat May Contain Nuts. So let's talk a little bit about the teams we played against and what they played. So first of all, we go to the first TC. So this is a team. They were all relatively new players. They had a drop one day before the event, but got a replacement player by themselves, which is pretty nice. And yeah, they just that was their first tournament, but they brought something pretty nice, I would say. Um, Here we have the captain. No, here we have one person on sisters. It is a hollowed martyrs, so index detachment list. We have a canoness with the enhancement that makes everything damage 1. We have a palatine with the, I think that's the enhancement that gives the damage buff, if I'm not completely mistaken. We have Juniper Rufia for extra command points, a Dialogist because it's cheap, Morven Wal with a unit of Paragon Warsuits for anti-tank, 1 unit of Battle Sisters getting into Immolator tanks so they can drive around and split up into multiple small units, each with melter guns. 2 immolators with here we go. This one had flamers and the other one too. So 2 immolators with flamethrowers, not multi-melters. A bunch of arcoflagellants just to score points and die to generate more dice. 1 castigator, a 10 model unit of Sacrosaurs, some Dominion, 2 units of Dominions, which can switch into multiple small units with melters. 2 singular mortifiers, I believe. Yes, 2 solo mortifiers just for. Oh, they forgot to uh, check the free up save, but doesn't matter. Yeah, 2 solo mortifiers. You basically deploy these on the line, so if your opponent gets turn 1 and shoots them, you auto explode for a command point, and then every model within range of them gets their +1 to hit from the detachment rule. It's pretty nasty. The Paragon unit for Morven Wall to kill units, to kill tanks, and then we have a bunch of Seraphim. Next, we had some World Eaters here with the Index Detachment, Berserker Warband. Of course, we have Angron, we have a Lord on Juggernaut, and a Master of Execution with the Glaive to have damage free, first strike, all that stuff. 1 unit of Jackals to hold the home field. 10 Corn Berserkers with a Rhino to deliver the Fight First Lord. And then we have 1, 2, 3 units of regular 8-bounds and 1 big unit of Exalted 8-bound and 1 small unit of Exalted 8-bound with 2 units of Spawn. So yeah, a more or less standard list of World Eaters, I think. It always depends on whether you take the Berserkers or you just take extra Exalted 8-bound and you just invest into more other stuff. Noticeably, none of the new units, the one that has Infiltrate. So no infiltrating to guarantee the scout moves go off, which is interesting. Which is very interesting. Next, they also had a Custodes player, and this one was on Shield Host. Just do more damage with crit 5s. It goes on. We have a champion, a blade champion. We have 1 bike captain with a redeploy. Oh no, wait, that's a shield captain on foot. Excuse me, with a redeploy, so you can redeploy 3 units. 2 units of guard. Multiple units of terminators with grenade launchers. 1 unit of wardens, most likely for the shield captain to join, or the blade champion. 1 unit of prosecutors, and then triple bikes. each with salvo launchers, 3 bikes. So a rather fast unit, fast army, assuming you don't get move blocked because the bikes are a bit awkward to move around, even with fly. And lastly, we had a player on Grey Knights. Here we go. Grey Knights, it was the Warpbane Task Force, the one with the rerolls, so they shoot a bit harder. A Brotherhood champion for fight first and reroll wounds. A Tech Marine with the enhancement that lets them. Oh, what was that enhancement again? It lets them reroll wounds or something. We have 2 Nemesis Dread Knight Grandmasters and Caldo Drago. 1 unit of Terminators for Drago with an Apothecary to regenerate models. 1 Strike Squad to sticky objectives and have Scout. We have 2 units of Interceptors to just score, I assume. These are the ones that can move 12 inches. 2 regular Dread Knights, one with a sword, one with a hammer. 2 Purifier Squads, because they trigger the army rule for the full rerolls to hit, so you don't have to hold all the objectives. And 1 unit of Servitors, which were actually attached to the little Tech Marine. So what happened in that game? In that round. Alright, so the first round of the event, we paired into this team, and first we had to pick a champion. And basically, both teams pick a champion who gets noted and written down first, and then revealed. So the champions have to play each other and are basically out of the pairing process. That's how we fix the 4-player issue instead of having like a divisible number by the process, which is usually 5 or 3 or something. So what happened? I was the champion for our team because I felt confident that I could handle basically any army they were putting down. I think the worst army to play against would have been World Eaters, but I think I could handle basically any of the 4 armies I saw. And our opponents picked the Grey Knights for me to play against, and I knew this was gonna be pretty good for me because despite the fact that Grey Knights can score really, really well with all of these small units, nothing in this list can kill the 2-up safe vehicles we have in our list. The best shooting in that list is a heavy Psy Cannon, strength 10, AP2, ignore cover, damage 3, and all our important models have a 2-up save and Armor of Contempt access, and we can reroll saves for free with Gilliman. And we just shoot them back and just kill them with the +1 to wound and ignore cover and stuff. It is brutal. Then we lost the drop for the defender, so we unfortunately had to give up the Gene Stealers into their custodies, which was bad because they got the dense terrain table, which means the 20 model blobs didn't get to really abuse the range and score well, while the custodies just hacked through them piece by piece in combat. And yeah, we lost that game, but we did press a bunch of points out of it at least. It was a 13-3 victory for them. So yeah, pretty. It was a bit dirty, and the map wasn't great, and we adjusted that for the second pairing. However, we did get knights into table 2, which was a very open table, and the knights got matched up into the Sisters of Battle. And despite the fact that the Sisters had a bunch of melters, like you saw the Dominion squads and the Morven Val unit, it was not enough, especially with the range disadvantage, to deal with the knights. Yeah, we got a complete victory here. We tabled the Sisters 20-0 on turn 3. It was basically over after Morven Wall came in out of reserves and killed 1 Armiger and then died to the Atropos. It was pretty rough. So yeah, that was a rough game for our opponents. And the last game, we had a match on a normal table. It wasn't too open, it wasn't too dense, and it was the Custodies into the World Eaters. And that game, we marked down as advantageous for us because World Eaters don't like Wardens very much, and they don't like Armor of Contempt in melee and -1 to hit in melee. But from the tales I've heard from the table over, the World Eaters player, which was their captain, rolled like crazy. Rolled like absolutely crazy and held every single 5-up invuln and feel no pain, and things went sour super fast. But my friend managed to clutch it out to the end, and we scored a draw. So yeah, we have one tight loss, we have one overwhelming victory, one draw. So basically, all I had to do was win, and I did. I won that game. I won that game very decisively, 19-1. I did lose 1 point because Grey Knights just score really well, but I scored the full 100, which converted into a 19-1, and with that we had one of the bigger victories of the event overall. So we won 2 games, drew one, and lost one, which is a pretty good state to be for the next round. So what happened in the next round? We played against Team May Contain Nuts, which is a team that didn't win the last round due to a tiebreaker. They drew it and got paired up, but we actually had 4 draws in total. So I mean, two matches drew, 4 teams had a draw, so it was pretty likely to get the draw out of one of the pods. And so this team, one of my clubmates organized it, brought another clubmate along, and then they invited a bunch of friends and players from where they live in the area. And despite the fact that so we had a good advantage here because 3 of their armies were not battle ready painted, so we had a good head start of 10 points from the get go. However, uh, these are not bad players because I keep in mind, if it wasn't for the draw range, they would have won their last pairing against the in round one. And they were up by 6 points in total, which wasn't enough to get over the draw. But they would have won if we just strictly looked at who scored better overall, because they won 3 of the 4 games. It was pretty crazy. So yeah, we had some respect here. We did, however, notice their lists. So first of all, let's look at the captain. The captain was on orcs. It was a warhorde. We are looking at a beast boss, Gaskell, a war boss, a war boss, a war boss, and a weird boy. With some beast snacker boys for the beast boss, some boys for Sticky, 4 trucks, a battle wagon for Gaskell, a bunch of breaker boys, 1 unit of breaker boys, 1 unit of burner boys, some Gretchen for scoring, 2 mega knobs for gas, and then 2 10-man units of knobs for the boys. So this is more like a bully boys list in terms of like durability, but it does a bunch of damage on the war turn with crit 5s on the strat and lethal hits sustained from the army rule and Gaskell's rule, which is neat. I really like that. So it's a good list, but yeah, we will later talk about the flaws of the list. Next, we have Eldar. Eldar are always scary to bring, and this is maximum MSU Eldar. It is Eldrad by himself, solo, Fugan with 5 fire dragons, Lycus with 5 warp spiders, an Autarch with the -1 to wound enhancement, joining 10 banshees. So it is just fight first, 10 dudes with advance and charge and movement 8. It is pretty crazy. We have 2 units of Dark Reapers with the indirect cannon. On the Sergeant, we have 2 units of Dire Avengers, 2 units of Fire Dragons, 10 Banshees, triple 5 Rangers for Infiltrate and Reactive Move, 2 units of Striking Scorpions with Biting Blades, so for Infiltrate Scout, 2 units of Swooping Hawks, 1 unit of Shining Spears, and 1 Warwalker as the only vehicle in the list. So the Warwalker can push AP, and the detachment was the Aspect Host. So everything except for the Warwalker is an aspect unit, and the Rangers, excuse me. I think so. Are Rangers aspect units? I don't even remember. So everything except for, I believe, the Rangers and the Warwalkers is an aspect unit. So all of these get reroll once to wound or hit, depending on what they choose. And yeah, this list was pretty challenging, and the pilot is very competent. The list wasn't painted, fortunately, for one of us, but yeah, it is actually a very well versed pilot on the list. So what else do we got? We got Space Marines, Emperor's Children. This is a fun list from one of my clubmates. I really love this list. It's beautifully painted. It is a Stormlands with white scars. It features the Khan himself, Kosawa Khan, one chaplain on bike, one lieutenant with Power Fist, 10 assault intercessors with for the Khan with +1 to wound, basically. Oath bonus because it's not a index chapter. We have a 10-man intercessor squad with the lieutenant to get the lethal hits in. We have 2 units of 10 assault intercessors with jump packs for some mortal wounds on the charge. We have 6 eradicators with melters. You can give them assault in the Stormlands, so they have advance and shoot access. 1 ATV with a multi-mel. No, excuse me. 1 ATV with a Gatling, but it's just here for scoring. 1 brick of Outriders with an ATV with the Chaplain. So yeah, a big unit with devastating wound shooting on oath targets could be pretty nice. And 5 speeders. Triple Hammer Strike to strip cover. Double Thunder Strike to give +1 to wounds to those Eradicators, for example, which don't need oath, which is pretty... that's something. So yeah, a very cool Stormlands list in White Scars, so very fluffy, but in a team setting, this can actually work really well because you have units that can just push through walls and just do damage with advance and charge, auto advance 6 on the bikes. It's pretty cool, yeah. Really interesting. And last but not least, we have Emperor's Children. The only player in the tournament to play Emperor's Children. We have a Coterie of the Conceited, featuring Lucius the Eternal, a Demon Prince of Slaanesh with wings, and the revive on a leadership test enhancement. 1 Demon Prince of Slaanesh, 1 Lord Cacophonist with Pledge of Unholy Fortune. That's the one that lets him flip a die to a 6. 1 Cacophonist, another Cacophonist, and then 2 Lord Exultants for the Infractor units. So they 1 10-man and 1 5-man, so they can charge in and pop their +1 AP, +3 attacks, and then hit deal a lot of damage. 2 Rhinos, triple Noise Marines, 1 Spawn unit, and then 3 units of the Infiltrator guys with the melters and stuff. So yeah, Emperor's Children, very scary army. They are really good in teams, especially. If that army gets going, it scores really well, and it is really, really fast and makes you play the game a bit differently, because not only can every unit attack you almost anywhere on the board with advance and charge and high movement, they can also just fall back if you try to tag them. So yeah, this army is pretty scary to play against. So what was our strategy? First of all, we noticed that not a single army in this roster has a blast weapon that is worth anything. I think the only blast weapon is on the Eldar players Exarch and on the Rhinos in this. It is not good. It doesn't look good for them. So no blast weapons, basically, which means we just declared our Gene Stealers as the champion, because no matter what they play against, they're just gonna have a good time. Also, we expected, due to the skill of the Eldar player to be their champion. So if we get that matchup, we have a free win, because Eldar do not like playing against Gene Stealers. It is a really bad matchup. It is a really bad matchup for them. They cannot deal with 20 models that just come back to life if you kill them for free. It is not a good time. We're just gonna score that to end. So what actually happened? The champion ended up being the Orcs. So we had to play Orcs against Gene Stealers, which actually ended up going our way. Yeah, because again, the orcs are only good in combat for one turn, which means if you just feather the blow into like two of your big breaks and then they just come back and then you just shoot them off the table, it just works really well. Yeah, the list had enough shooting to get them out of the tracks, and even if they don't get them out of the tracks, you don't want to get wrapped in cultists, so you can't get out. It was a bad time for the orcs, and we got a pretty decisive win. I think it was a 14-6 or a 16-4, something along those lines. Next, we lost the die roll for the first defender, and their first defender were the Eldar. And the Eldar decided to play on the table with the bad terrain, which means we threw the Custodes and myself in that matchup. And because it was the table that is favoring melee armies, our opponent decided not to take the Custodes and decided to take me instead. So me, with the gun line Space Marines, had to play on the dense terrain table against MSU Eldar. I'm not gonna lie, this match was really, really close. There were a bunch of flippy moments and some mistakes on my opponent's part, which I managed to exploit to flip the game. On turn one, my opponent was in a staging spot with the 10 banshees right in the center of the table, and I decided to advance my Reaper into the midboard into an angle where with advance and shoot I got an angle because 10 models are difficult to hide, and I managed to just oath of moment gladiator Reaper. I probably killed 25 banshees with what I rolled, and that wasn't like a spike or anything. I just killed them all dead. They all died. Kelgar got into the center. Unfortunately, I rolled an 11-inch charge on a bunch of scorpions that were beating up my scout, and I had to base a scorpion on the terrain feature so I could be seen through it, which prompted a response. Basically the entire Eldar army popped out to clap back. Fuigan killed my Reaper and failed to shoot my captain, so the fire dragons didn't shoot the captain. In the center, basically everything that could shot into my Kelgar unit, and Kelgar died along with all the heroes, but I had one Victrix Guard model alive on one wound at the end of it, and that Victrix Guard model actually denied area denial, which was excellent for me because now Gilliman could just swoop in, kill everything. Nothing could reactive move out because it was still basing the one Victrix Guard after Lycus and the Warp Spiders charged it, which was really good. So yeah, that was really fortunate for me, despite the fact that my charge was bad. I should have re-rolled it in retrospect just to not base on the terrain feature, but yeah, I didn't know better. And yeah, and from that point, after I killed the fire dragons more or less successfully, there wasn't enough damage to deal with my ballistas dreadnoughts and the vindicators on the long term. I lost half of them. I lost one ballistas and one vindicator, but the others were just too much. And Gilliman basically, he killed everything in the center, charged something towards the enemy deployment line, and ended turn 5 on the enemy home objective to burn it for the Scorched Earth mission. That was pretty good. So I did win that game. I think I was the 4-6. I was the 16-4. The GSC were the 14-6. So yeah, it wasn't like a dominating clap over there, but we did win those two games. So the third game. So our teammate was pretty confident because we picked Defender Knights on one of the two open tables. And yeah, our teammate was pretty confident. Oh, it's just a bunch of Space Marines with chainswords. I can shoot that off the table. That game went pretty bad for us. The Space Marines just used the staging points that were on the map to just stage assaults. I think on turn 2, the Knight Atropos died to a bunch of melters and speeders, and yeah, so my teammate came up to me and was like, I'm getting clapped over here. I need some help. And I told him, okay, just focus on scoring. Just score as much as you can. Don't try to go for anything fancy. Just get as many points as you can. And he did. We lost that game, but it was a 13-7 for the Space Marines. So at least the Knights scraped 7 points out of that game, which was a loss. So we are in the lead. So what happens on the last game? It was Emperor's Children against Custodes. This is a matchup that is pretty scary because Noise Marines are really good at shooting Custodes units. But thankfully, I, as an Emperor's Children player myself, practiced this matchup with my friend. We practiced it in advance, which is why we were pretty confident about dropping it in. And yeah, even though Lucius the Eternal went on an absolute bender, I think he killed 3 out of the 4 characters with his precision full rerolls across the entire board. He just walked into one combat after the other and killed every single character model. But it wasn't enough because the Custodes were still too annoying to kill and were too good at denying the score. And because my opponent, because my teammate knew how to deal with the Emperor's Children's kill mechanic, denied kills in critical spots to not pump up the tally for Slanesh to trigger all of the army rules. So we did win that game. It was, I think, a 12-8 or something. So it was a close win, but we did it. So in the end, we ended up winning 3 of the games, and we came in first place because the second team that went 2 wins didn't score as many points as us. We were ahead by 4 points, which makes me pretty happy, but yeah, it was definitely a close game. Overall, I was pretty happy with how the team performed. I will throw up a little image right here. I will throw up a little image on screen of us taking the trophy home. Got to hold the big 3D printed chainsword for the winners, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. If you want to know more about teams, there's a bunch of resources from Art of War and other places where you can get ready for teams events. I would recommend playing a teams event. It was really fun, and yeah, I'm the only thing I really regret is I can't show you guys any other pictures than that final one because our main event photographer was sick on that day, or one was sick, one was busy, so we had nobody taking any pictures, and I completely forgot to take to take pictures that day. So yeah, that is what happened, and I guess you just have to take my word for it. The event was really fun, and that's that. So there's a longer video in the works for a tournament report on the Firebug Open. With the Vanguard Spearhead. It will be a mishmash between the Vanguard guide and how I did at the Super Major. Keep your eyes open for that. I'm in the scripting phase. It shouldn't take too long. I took pictures. I have all of my stats ready. Everything. It's just gonna go and happen. Now, if you wanna ask me more about the teams tournament or the little Firebug Major, that thing, go and join the Realm of Ultramalt Discord, and you can add me at any time. Ask me about your lists. Ask me about how many Hellblasters you should run in your Firestorm detachment. And if you do that, I will reply almost immediately. Thank you so much for watching. Courage and honor. We march for McCrack.